All right, welcome everybody. This meeting, before we start, I just want to let you know that this meeting is being recorded. And I've had to mute everybody's microphone so we don't get a lot of background noise. So the best way to contact me and communicate with me is through the chat. So can everybody locate their chat box? If you're watching on Google Meet, it's at the bottom bar. If you're watching on my website, it is a button above the video. And I'm going to be asking you questions throughout, so feel free to answer in the chat, or if you'd rather send me an email, that's fine too. Awesome, somebody's already using the chat box. Hello. And then also you're welcome to ask me questions as we go, because I'd love to learn more about you. I'd love to learn more about where you are in the publishing process and why you're here. And I value our mutual time together, so that's another reason why you're all muted. I'm going to get through the training that I've prepared and then wait until the end for the question and answer section for the bulk of the questions. If I see one come through that I can answer really quickly, I will do that. But if I'm not answering you right away, that is why. And I'll also answer all the emails that I receive after the training. So this training is the 5 steps to creating a professional children's book that sells while avoiding costly mistakes many authors make. It's a free class hosted by me, Misty Black. And the main topics we're going to be covering today are the 3 options you have for publishing your children's book and which one I recommend not using, the 6 costly mistakes new authors make and how you can avoid them, the 5-step process I teach my students to polish and publish a children's book that sells in as little as 90 days. But many of you might not know who I am at all, so you may wonder why you should even listen to me. So let me just introduce myself. I'm a best-selling children's book author and founder of the Get It Published program. I have 35 children's books published, and I've sold over 100,000 copies. And I've helped hundreds of aspiring authors like yourselves make their stories and books better and get them into the hands of children all over the world while avoid wasting money and time. So let me show you a few of my books. Actually, this is all of my books in English. So I have 17 published in English, and then I have books in other translations. And when I look at this, I can see the journey that I've been on. Each book has a story behind it and is very meaningful to me. And some of my favorites, or one of my best-selling series, is the ones on the top. It's my social emotional learning books. And each one of these has a message of apologizing, resilience, gratitude, impulse control, things like that for social emotional learning. And if you've been in the publishing business for any amount of time, you've probably heard that traditional publishers don't like it when books have a message. They think that books should be just for fun, that reading should just be for fun, and it definitely should be that. So if you're going to have a book with a message, I would advise focusing on the story first, and then having the message hidden inside, and then add supplemental material either at the end or on the website where they can use for lesson plans or discussion material that go along with the book. So that's how I've had success doing it that way, is just make sure the story comes first and the story is fun. And then I have other books that are just for fun that don't teach a lesson at all. So I want you to think about, what are some of your favorite books? What are some of your favorite children's books? And what were some of your favorite books growing up? Think about why you liked them. And think about when you started to enjoy reading and when books started becoming meaningful to you. Because being aware of that can help you create a better book. So let me know in the chat, what were some of your favorite books growing up? I remember, I have fond memories of my mom reading to me and my siblings on her bed, and you know, just those books bring back so many memories. So we would read Boxcar Children, Anne of Green Gables, Little House on the Prairie, and I still love those books so much. Somebody wrote Fox and Socks. I know we all have those books that meant so much to us that we wore them out from cover to cover from reading them so many times. Green Eggs and Ham, Jupiter, that is one of my favorites too. I probably had that one memorized as a kid. So again, be thinking of that. What are some of those books that helped you learn to love to read? Because those are the kind of books that we want to create as children's book authors. And so a little bit more about me and how I got here is I'm a wife and a mother to 3. And after I graduated from college with my business degree, I worked in the corporate world for 8 years. So let me know in the chat what you do for a living, and then let me know whether you love it or not. Because sadly, I didn't love working in corporate. It was work, so I worked for a paycheck. So how many of you feel that way in your current job? Awesome. Amy says she's a homeschool mom and loves it. Linda says she retired flight attendant and loved it. That is awesome that you loved your jobs. When I worked for somebody else, I was building a business for somebody else instead of myself. And I've changed that around so that now I'm working for me and I'm building my assets and my business for myself. When I worked in corporate, I couldn't wait for the weekend, and Mondays were always a drag. So now, fast forward a few years, and I've since found much more fulfillment in creating and selling children's books. And I wake up every morning feeling excited to work and create because I love sharing my books with kids all over the world and seeing the joy on their faces when they're reading my books. It's become a passion of mine. So let me ask you, what is your passion? Why do you want to publish a children's book? You're here because something inside of you is pulling you towards writing and publishing a children's book. So let me know your reasons in the chat. Maybe you have a story you know that kids need to hear. Maybe you had a dream of being an author for years. And maybe you want to create something that matters and influence children for good. Everyone comes to this with a different goal. Maybe you want to leave a legacy for your children and grandchildren. Maybe you want to build a business. Maybe you've had a story in your heart for years, but whatever it is, I want to help you bring it to life. And I'm glad you're here. And I want to thank you for trusting me to share this information with you. I love some of these messages in the chat: to make an impact on kids all over the world. To kids and parents, express creativity. I love that. Your kids, Jenny, her kids have written books together, so she wants to learn how to publish them. I love that too. There's so many reasons for being here, so many reasons for wanting to publish a children's book. So let's make sure you're in the right place. So I want to hear about you, where you are. So tell me if you relate to any of these things. So type 1 in the chat if you want to publish a professional children's book. Type 2 if you have an idea for a children's book, but you don't know how to get started. Type 3 in the chat if you've written a manuscript, but you're overwhelmed by the publishing process. Type 4 if you've submitted your manuscript to agents and publishers, but you haven't heard back or you've been rejected. We've got a lot of 2s coming through, some 1s and 3s as well, and some 4s. Okay, type 5 if a publisher has offered to publish your book but is asking for thousands of dollars to do so. Type 6 if you have 1 or several books published but you're not seeing the results you expected. And type 7 if you want a simplified, straightforward system to publish a best-selling book in as little as 90 days. If any of these resonated with you, you're in the right place. We have a flood of 7s coming through, which is amazing. Lots of 5s and 6s as well. So you probably have a million questions about publishing, and I'm hoping I can answer many of them in the training. I've gathered a bunch of information and a bunch of questions from new authors over the years to put this training together of what I think is the most valuable information for people. So hopefully I'm going to answer those questions as we go along as just part of the training. And then there's also a frequently asked questions section at the end to answer commonly asked questions. So make sure that you stick around. And again, for those who joined us a little bit later, inside I'm sharing the 3 options you have for publishing your children's book and which I recommend according to my FAN framework. I'll also suggest which one you should avoid. We're going to cover why you don't need to and why you shouldn't pay a quote publisher to produce a professional book, and how you can do it faster, better, and less expensively. We're going to cover the 6 costly mistakes new authors make and how you can avoid them. And we're going to talk about my 5-step process that I teach my students to polish and publish a children's book that sells in as little as 90 days. Now, this training is jam-packed with information. Like I said, I've been gathering information for several years. But obviously, we can't cover everything in an hour-and-a-half training. So at the end, we're going to cover how you can work with me more closely to produce a successful picture book if you still feel like you need extra help. Jupiter says, the book publishing field is full of con artists and scams. It's most frustrating, and I totally agree. We're going to cover that in just a minute when I talk about the different publishing avenues, because there is definitely things you want to avoid. So suggestions are to remove distractions. If you close the extra tabs on your browser, the streaming quality is better. Also take some notes, ask and answer questions in the chat, and make sure you stay to the end because I have some giveaways that you won't want to miss. So plan on a little over an hour. So like you were probably told when you were growing up, you get out of something what you put into it. So this could be just another free class that you attend. Maybe some of you have attended ones like this before, and that's it. Or this could be a turning point for you because the information I'm going to share with you today can change so much for you. So I hope you pay attention. And I want you to imagine for a minute, what if there was a way to create and publish your book in as little as 90 days? What if there was a way to bypass all of the misinformation and the money and time wasting mistakes? And like Jupiter said, the con artists and the scams, they are definitely out there. What if your book could have a positive impact on a child who reads it, or on hundreds and thousands of children who read it? Imagine if you could have a stream of passive income from your book sales. And then finally, imagine if you could be seen as an expert in your field because of the success of the book you wrote. So if you're planning on writing a nonfiction book, lots of authors that write nonfiction do so to be seen as an expert in their field, and that's a great reason to write a book. So those possibilities can absolutely be your realities. Obviously, you might need a little bit of strategy and help to get there, and that's where I come in. For me, creating and selling children's books is much more rewarding than an 8-to-5 job. And now I get to teach authors and aspiring authors how to publish successful books, best-selling books. But when I first started out, I did not have it all figured out. I had many of the same problems that you may be having. I wanted to get my children's stories written the right way. I didn't know what I was doing, and I didn't want to look like a fool. I wanted to write them the right way, and I wanted to publish them, but I didn't know how. I needed to learn. And looking back, I wish there was a way that I could sift through all the information and overwhelm without spending hours, weeks, and years researching. But what happened was I did spend hours, weeks, and years researching. I spent a lot of time gaining the knowledge that I have today and getting to where I am today. And I'm hoping that we can streamline all of that process for you with the information that I have. And at the beginning, I felt overwhelmed just thinking about the different publishing avenues and which was best for me. I didn't have a degree in publishing. I didn't have a degree in creative writing. So how many of you experienced that too? Type stuck in the chat if you're not sure what step to take next. And you will see that you're not alone in this, because there was a time that I had no idea where to start. And I know I'm not the only one. We have some stucks coming through, sort of stuck, yeah. And sometimes you can get going and then get stuck on certain steps. So we're going to try and help you avoid that and get you a 5-step process to work with. But that's why I came up with my FAN framework for getting your book published in as little as 90 days. So you have a choice. You can either let your book sit in a desk drawer or on your computer, or maybe it's still in your head, you haven't written down yet, or you can get it published. So FAN stands for fast, attainable, and noteworthy. And we'll talk about what those mean in more detail in a bit, but let me first talk about the 3 options you have for getting your story published. The first option is to get your book traditionally published. To do this, you need to send query letters and a sample of your manuscript to agents who specialize in children's books. And once they accept your manuscript, they will try to find you a publisher. They usually split the royalties with you on the sale of your manuscript. So typically, if your agent doesn't sell your manuscript, they don't get paid. And that's why it's very difficult to find an agent, because they're taking a risk on you and your manuscript. You can also send your manuscript directly to smaller publishers who don't require you to have an agent. The pros of traditional publishing are that once you found a publisher, they will take care of getting it ready to publish. Traditional publishers should pay for the editing, the illustrations, the formatting, and getting the book printed. Larger publishers will also arrange distribution and getting it into stores, and they should pay you in advance on royalties. Smaller publishers sometimes don't pay in advance, but you should never have to pay a traditional publisher to publish your book. If you're paying a publisher to publish your book, that is not a traditional publisher. That is a vanity publisher, and I just want you to know the difference. We'll talk about that in a minute. If you do get an advance on your manuscript, you won't get any more money from your publisher until your royalties exceed the initial advanced payment. The cons are that it's very hard to get published this way, and it can take a very long time. You also might lose some creative control over your book. You're selling them the rights to produce and sell your book, so they may make changes to your manuscript, and they ultimately get to decide what your illustrations look like. Traditionally published authors also make very little per book sold, so typically 5 to 15% of profits. Profits refer to the money made on the book after expenses, not what the book sells for. So if a book sells for $15 and it takes $10 to produce and distribute, the author would get 5 to 15% of the $5 profit. So about 25 to 75 cents per book sold. Other cons are that your publisher will own the rights to your book. So you'll have to ask permission to read it in schools or in other settings. And many traditional publishers still expect authors to do much of the marketing. In fact, when you submit your book to a publisher, many of them ask you what your following is and how you plan to promote your book. So just be prepared for that. Lots of people think that they want to go the traditional route because they think all of the marketing is going to be taken care of for them. And that's not the case as much as they think. The second option is to hire a vanity or a hybrid publisher. So it's super easy to get published this way because it's very likely your book will be accepted. The pros are they arrange the production of your book. But there are many cons to being published this way. So some authors get excited when their manuscript was, quote, accepted for publishing, but then they're in sticker shock when they're expected to pay the publisher large sums of money to publish their book. That's why they accept pretty much every manuscript that gets submitted. They make the money from the author. They don't make money on sales. So they aren't taking any risk because they get paid up front. Traditional publishers don't do this, again, so be aware of the difference. Vanity publishers are expensive, and they also don't do much or any of the marketing for you. Again, they make money from the authors, not from the book sales. And if you upgrade, maybe they have a marketing package. They might say that they'll do some marketing for you. I've never talked to an author that was happy with the marketing that the vanity publisher did for them. Some vanity publishers will even still take a percentage of the royalties, even though they've already been paid to publish your book. So I suggest not going this route. I've never talked to an author that went this route that was happy with their choice. There's maybe a slim chance I would ever recommend it if maybe you don't want to do any of the legwork to get your book published. You only want to publish one book and that's it, and you aren't too concerned about sales. If you have the money, it might be an option for you. But again, like Jupiter said in the beginning, there are a lot of scams out there, and vanity publishing is pretty much known for their scams. So I do not recommend this. If you want to concentrate on book sales, if you ever want to scale your book into a business or even make your investment back, you may want to look elsewhere, because I've never met a single author who went this route who ended up making their initial investment back, let alone a profit. So Jupiter asked if all hybrids are vanity, and the answer is no. So a vanity publisher is somebody you hire and they publish it for you under their company name. A hybrid publisher could be different. So hybrid is just kind of a mix of self-publishing and vanity publishing, and it could be more on the vanity publishing side, it could be more on the self-publishing side. So if you find a hybrid publisher that is just helping you with the steps or helping you with certain parts of the book, but you're ultimately publishing the book yourself and you still own the rights, then that is different. You're paying for their services and their help, not necessarily for them to publish your book. Did that answer your question? The third option is self-publishing. So with this option, you don't have to find an agent. You don't have to wait for your manuscript to be accepted by a traditional publisher, which can take years. You work on your timeline. You retain creative control. You get to decide exactly what is in your book, what the illustrations and the cover looks like. And there's also the potential for authors to make a lot more money. So you don't have to split royalties with the agent and the publisher because you are the one publishing your book. So depending on how you sell your books, you can keep 45 to 100% of the profits on each book sold, as opposed to 5 to 15%. And the cons of self-publishing are that you're in charge of hiring an editor, an illustrator, and a formatter, or doing those things yourself. And you're in charge of the costs associated with those things. There are some ways to manage those costs and to pre-sell your book to raise funds for those costs, and we'll talk a little bit more on that later. Another con is that you need to market your book. But honestly, with all three of the options, you need to market your book regardless. So I just want you to be aware of that. So which do I recommend? The FAN framework stands for fast, attainable, and noteworthy. And self-publishing is the only option that fits the FAN framework. So if you're doubtful about self-publishing or you're on the fence, stick with me, because I'm going to explain why I prefer self-publishing and how you can self-publish using my 5-step process. And before I've started my own publishing company, but before that scares you away, you do not have to start your own publishing company to self-publish your book. That's just if you choose to do that. It can be much simpler than that. So as I've said, the F stands for fast. So let me explain to you what I mean by fast. In 2019, when I started this whole process, I had a few stories written and I was working on getting them published. I'd already submitted to some publishers and agents and I'd received rejection letters, and I just wanted to learn everything that I could. I signed up for writing conferences, a writing league. I was attending every workshop and seminar that I could to learn about writing children's books, publishing children's books. And at one of those seminars, one of the speakers was talking about her publishing journey, and she had a series of middle grade novels published. And she said something along the lines of, when I was writing my book, I heard it takes on average 10 years to find a publisher willing to publish your book. That's not 10 years from the time you start writing a book. That's 10 years from the time you start actively looking for agents and publishers. So when I heard that, I thought, wow, that is a long time. So yes, can it be quicker? Sure, but it can take even longer or never happen. And that could have discouraged me and made me want to quit. But hearing that didn't make me want to quit my publishing journey. It made me want to quit pursuing getting traditionally published. I thought, what can I do for myself in those 10 years? How far can I take this, and in what amount of time? So I knew then and there that I wanted to self-publish my books. I wanted to maintain control of not only the manuscript and the illustrations, but I wanted the copyrights. I wanted to maintain control of the speed and the amounts of books that I could publish. And the bonus was I get to retain all of the profits as well. I didn't have to share those with a publisher and an agent. So ask yourself, what can you accomplish yourself if you remove the roadblocks of relying on someone else to publish your book? Type in the chat how many books you have, how many story ideas you have, how many books you'd like to publish. I probably bet it's more than one. When you get started, the ideas keep flowing, and it's addicting, and it's so much fun to make books. So think what you can accomplish yourself if you remove those roadblocks, and think about all of those books that you want to publish, because all of that is possible. And we've got numbers coming in, 3, at least 6, 8, 12. I love it. I have a notes app on my phone with all the book ideas that I have, and there's like 100, 200 ideas on there. So I always am thinking of ideas and kind of developing them as the story develops in my mind. Let's see, a couple weeks ago, I was on Facebook on an author Facebook group, and a comment came in that says, I've been rejected dozens of times. At what point do I just give up and self-publish? And I wanted to comment, and I want to reiterate to you that self-publishing is not giving up. It is taking control and keeping that control. It's not quitting. It's beginning your journey on your own terms. So type yes in the chat if you believe that. 6 years have passed since that seminar. And in that time, I've self-published 30 total picture books in English and in other languages. I've sold over 100,000 copies. I've gotten 5 books traditionally published, and I have thousands of 5-star reviews. Those sales and reviews are proof that my books are just as good as traditionally published books, if not better for me, because I maintain control. And the 5 that have been traditionally published are published in other languages by traditional publishers who have approached me and given me an advance on royalties. Most of my books have become bestsellers, not just in the US, but internationally. And I've been featured in magazines, newspapers, blogs, podcasts, and have won several awards. I got to fly to Florida to accept a couple of Reader's Favorite awards, and that was awesome. And then by 2023, I had made enough money with my book business to buy my family a cozy little dream cabin in the mountains with land to go with it. And we were able to pay cash with my book business money. And we've enjoyed it so much as a family. So I'm not saying this to impress you, but to impress upon you the possibilities. I'm doing so much more than traditional publishing could have ever offered me, and I'm so happy with my choice. So dreams really do come true if you set your mind to it and take matters into your own hands. When I first started out, it wasn't just for the money. And I didn't set out to do this full time. I now do this full time. But I fell in love with creating and publishing picture books and children's books. It's addicting. That's what made me want to continue and stick with it. At first, I just wanted to get my stories into the hands of children, influence them for good. I thought my stories were good. I was also wanting to get my investment back, the money that I'd spent to create those books back, maybe a little bit more on the side. That was my initial goal. I'm so grateful that I've gone much further than that. So ask yourself, if you could have success as an author, what would that look like for you? Email me or put it in the chat. Success is a personal thing. So I want to know what that looks like for you. So type awards if you dream of winning awards. Type awards in the chat. Type media if you'd like your book featured in magazines, newspapers, or on TV. Type author visits if you'd like to visit libraries and schools and do author assemblies. That's such a fun thing to do as a children's book author. Type good influence if your goal is to influence children all over the world. And type money if your goal is to make a profit from selling your book, and that's okay. Type something else if you have a different goal. We've got good influence, awards, media, author visits, financial independence, enlighten children, good influence, charity, money, media, have a best-selling book. So all of these, success looks different for everybody. And I want you to take a moment and think about what it will feel like when you realize that success. How will that make you feel? So I'm super grateful for how far I've come. We've talked enough about me. That's not to say that I didn't make plenty of mistakes along the way. And we'll talk about some of those mistakes and how to avoid them in a bit. I just want to say that the A in FAN stands for attainable, because with help, you can attain this dream and make it a reality. And then I want to hear in the chat which publishing avenue you think is the best fit for you. Which do you think you'd like to attain? Traditional, vanity, or self-publishing? I love that we have a lot of selves coming through. The last thing I want to mention is that the N stands for noteworthy, meaning it's interesting and significant, because if done right, self-published books can be just as amazing as traditionally published books. You just need to know how, and we'll cover that today. I achieved success by doing many of the right things, but also by avoiding and actually learning from the wrong things. So what are those wrong things? What are those mistakes to avoid? We've already talked about why hiring a vanity publisher isn't a good idea, something you probably want to avoid. But let's talk about some other mistakes I see aspiring authors make. Mistake number one, having the belief that writing a children's book is easy, anyone can do it. So part of that may be true. Anyone can write 500 words and call it a story, but writing a great children's book takes a little bit of practice and knowledge of the industry. A story takes time to develop and become a book children beg to read again and again. So we're going to go over a few tips of some things that children's books really need to focus on. So know your audience and the age group that you want to target, because a 500-word picture book for ages 3 through 6 or 3 through 8 is going to look a lot different than a 2,000-word early reader book for ages 5 through 8, or a 9,000-word chapter book for ages 7 through 10. So know your audience, know the vocabulary they would use, or at least be familiar with it and the way that they talk. Another rule is to reduce word count and make every word count. Too many times I see authors falling in love with their words that don't contribute to the story, and words that are shown in the illustrations that only add length and not quality to the book. This is not a novel. You do not have to be descriptive. You have pictures to help you with that. Children have a short attention span, and wordy books are not the in thing with them. So if you look at books from 20, 30, 40 years ago, they were much longer, much more descriptive. Children had longer attention spans back then. That's not the case anymore. We want to reduce the word count. We want to make the illustrations tell at least half of the story. And then at least some of the story in a chapter book or an early reader. And then rule number 3, your book, if it's nonfiction and you're doing a story arc, your book needs to have a brilliant beginning where that first sentence just captivates them, makes them want to keep reading. It needs to have an oh no moment in the middle and a satisfying ending. So that oh no moment, that climactic middle where the child gasps and can't wait to turn the page and find out what happens, and then an ending that is very satisfying. That's when they want to read the book again and again. So writing a book is easy when you know the rules. And the good news is that all of those rules can be learned, and there's many more rules that we can't get into today. But towards the end of this training, we'll talk about how you can learn all of those rules and standards for writing a children's book in just a few days. No degree in creative writing is required, and all you need is an interest in children's books, which I hope you have since you are here. Peggy was an author I worked with to help her avoid some of these mistakes. I walked her through the editing process to reduce her word count, have a catching beginning, a climactic middle, and a satisfying ending, and I can't wait to see how her book turns out. Mistake number 2, believing that I can get my illustrations done and then edit later. So many might think I have to edit anyway, I'll just save money and do it all at once at the end. So I get it, because I like to save money where I can too, but don't make this mistake, because editing doesn't have to be expensive, especially for children's books. And getting it edited before illustrations can actually save you a ton of time and money, because illustrations cost far more than editing. So say your editor makes a suggestion that improves the flow of your story and clears up confusion, but it doesn't match your illustrations. So then now you have to go back and ask your illustrator to make changes. And I have seen it happen way too many times. So I want you to avoid this mistake. Mistake number 3 is believing that the artist I'm interested in will be able to illustrate my book the right way. And that could be true, but there's a few things that I wished I had known before I hired an illustrator. Not all artists are illustrators, because for an illustrator, they have to be able to make sure that the character is consistent on every page. They need to make sure that their illustrations are evoking emotion in their expressions, and make sure the proportions are correct. And not all artists can do that. So make sure that you are hiring an illustrator or somebody with experience with that. And getting a sample from an illustrator is a good way to test them out to see if you can communicate well with them, if they can bring your vision to life, and if they can maintain consistency. It's also important that your illustrator leaves room on the page for text. So too often they don't leave enough room, and then the designer has to get creative, or there have to be edits to the illustrations. And again, those can get expensive. Here's an example of a sample I got from one of my illustrators. And this is the kind of sample I think is worth paying good money for. The face looks consistent. It's the same boy on every character, you can tell. He's looking to the side and some of them, forward to some of them. He still looks the same. The proportions are correct. You can see in the parachute that he is very small compared to the parachute. And you can see the emotion on his face. So a sample like this is worth so much and can help you avoid illustration mistakes. It can also help you avoid someone who uses AI or clip art to do their illustrations. So AI is very controversial in the children's book world. We're not going to get into that very much. But I do want to say that one thing you do want to avoid is hiring somebody to illustrate your book that just ends up using AI. You're not paying them to use AI. You want somebody that is actually drawing them by hand. So that this can help you avoid that. AI just isn't advanced enough to create the same character over and over in different scenes and positions. And another way to avoid AI, if you're concerned, is to ask your illustrator to record themselves drawing a sample from scratch. So most true illustrators would be happy to know you're trying to avoid AI, and they'd be more than willing to show you that it's their original work. And a bonus to this is that you can use this in social media and on your website to tease your upcoming book. You can use this video and say, look at my characters, look what's coming out, look what I'm working on, and help people get excited for your book that's coming out and what you're working on. Being a children's book author is really interesting to people. They love to hear about that. And then here's an example of leaving room for text. So it may look like a blank area on the page. It might look off balanced. But once the text is added, it looks complete. And you definitely want plenty of room for your text so your designer can have fun with the words and incorporate them into the illustration. Mistake number 4 is having the mindset that selling my book will be easy. I'll slap it up on Amazon. They have over 300 million customers worldwide, so my book is sure to sell. So the truth is, you can make a lot of money on Amazon, but you have to be seen. The best book in the world won't sell if no one knows about it. And there are tricks you can learn to help you be seen online. And it has to do with keywords, with categories, with a keyword-rich description. And the good news is that all of that can be learned. And we're going to discuss more on that later in this training. Mistake number 5 is believing that it's impossible to make money from self-publishing. So I know that I just said that it takes a bit of knowledge and know-how to get seen on Amazon and other publishing platforms, but I'll say it again, those skills can be learned. And it is absolutely possible to make profitable business from self-publishing books if that's your goal. Many of you may not have that goal, and that's fine too. You don't have to just sell on Amazon. Many authors have found other ways to make a profit. You could sell on your website. You could sell at events. Author visits at schools can be very profitable. And they're one of my favorite parts about being a children's book author. So pick an avenue that works best for you and get really good at it. Then branch out when you're ready. You absolutely don't have to do all of these things all at once. That is way too overwhelming. Pick something you enjoy and that you're good at. And maybe your intention isn't to make a ton of money, but if it is, and you want to turn your book into a business, you have to treat it like a business. It's best to have many items to sell, and having different avenues working for you helps as well. I would suggest making a goal to not only publish one book, but to keep going. Keep progressing, keep producing items to grow your business. You can even add merchandise to sell with your books. And that's one reason you want to have the rights to those illustrations, so that you can make merchandise, plushies, stickers, things to go with your book, and you have the rights to sell those as well. And then my biggest tip that changed my business from wondering if I'd ever make my investment back to making what I do now is to translate your titles to create multiple books. It doesn't cost that much more because you already have the illustrations made. Even if you only have one idea for a book, publish it and then translate it into several languages that Amazon reaches, and then suddenly you have 5 books selling. You can even reformat that book into a dyslexic font and publish it as a dyslexic font edition for more reach without much more work or expense. So those are ways that you can add product without a lot more expense. Mistake number 6 is believing that if I self-publish, I won't be able to get traditionally published later. So my little secret is that once you're self-published, some traditional publishers might reach out to you to publish your book in other languages. And I've had this happen several times. I've sold the rights to 5 of my books in other languages, and the advance royalties I received were often more than I spent on creating the book in the first place. In every one of those instances, the publisher reached out to me. I didn't have to query agents or publishers. And it would not have been possible for me to sell those rights to them if I went with a traditional or vanity publisher in the first place, because they would have the rights to my book, not me. So I wouldn't be able to sell those. And I know that I just told you to translate them and publish them yourself, but these were languages where Amazon doesn't have a reach. It's a market I wouldn't be able to publish and get in on my own. Jupiter just asked, do you keep the ownership of the ones you sell? Yes, I'm still the owner of the books. I'm still the owner of the illustrations. I own the copyrights. What I sold to them was the right to publish that book in that specific region and language, and for a certain amount of time. So I think all of mine are for 5 years. So I did not sell them the rights to my book. I still owned them, but they are publishing it for me in that language. They have the right to publish in that language, and then I'm not able to publish in that language. But again, it was languages that Amazon doesn't reach. It was not a market I could have reached on my own. And Jupiter also asked, does that mean you get full royalties? No, it doesn't. When you sell your book to somebody else for publishing, you get that lower percent royalty, and mine is around 8 to 10% of what they are offering me on the sale of my books. So I'm still self-publishing all of those books. I'm still self-publishing them in other languages as well. I get to keep all of those royalties, but the ones that I sold, you know, I'm getting the reduced royalties, and the ones that they took care of the translation and the formatting and all of that. And then they keep track of the sales. Does that answer your question? Okay, so those are mistakes I commonly see or concerns I commonly hear. So that's what you shouldn't do or believe. But let's talk about what you should do. So this is where the 5 steps to creating a professional picture book that sells come in. So step 1 is polishing your manuscript using beta readers, critique partners, and editors. Step 2 is illustrating. Step 3 is marketing. Step 4, creating the book. Step 5, launching and publishing. So notice that I didn't list marketing after the book is published. You need to start marketing your book as soon as you have something to market. Tease an illustration on social media, do a cover reveal as soon as you have it. Let people know what you're up to so they can anticipate the book coming out. So we're going to go over all of these steps in detail. Step 1, polish your manuscript. So maybe you have a manuscript written or several, but do they shine? Are they professional? And let me just stop right there and say, if you don't have any manuscripts written at all, that's okay too. We're going to cover how to start doing that, okay? But with the manuscripts you have, are they professional? Because the last thing you want to do is publish a subpar book because your name is on it. And books tend to sell other books. If a reader reads a book you've written and they like it, they'll look at your name and look at other books that you have. If you have a subpar book or a book they're not going to want to read again, they're not going to look up your other books. You want to make a book kids choose to read when they don't have to read, and editing can help you do that. So here's a tip. I like to research the best-selling children's books in my genre and analyze them. I like to go to the bookstore in the kids section or the library and see the displays of the covers facing me and see which books stand out to me and why. I notice their colors, their fonts, the way the titles are placed. Are the titles easy to read from far away? So not only should they be easy to read from far away, but online they need to be easy to read in a thumbnail size. I notice their illustrations, and I really analyze what makes those books stand out to me and what I really like, because that will also help me create a better book. And then I pick a couple of their best-selling picture books. So this only works with picture books. It doesn't really work with chapter books or early readers, but with picture books, I type out the words of those best-selling books and I read them aloud without the illustrations, and I see how well they flow. And most likely, if it's done well, it's going to be a little choppy without the illustrations. And that's because they've done a great job of leaving room for the illustrations to tell at least half the story. So I know I said don't wait to edit till after your illustrations, but it is okay to reduce word count after your illustrations are finished. Go through and cross out all of the things that are descriptive that are shown in the illustrations that you don't need to say. Get rid of all the fluff and make every word count. And there are ways to polish up your manuscript relatively inexpensively by using critique partners, beta readers, and professional editors. And we'll talk more about how to find all of those later on, but don't skip this important step. You'll save a lot of headache and money if you get your book illustrated before, or book edited before illustrations begin, and before you break it into pages, and then again after illustrations are finished, and then a final proofread after your book is put together. So there's several stages of editing you want to be aware of. Step number 2 is illustrating your book. In a picture book, illustrations tell half the story. They can also tell a lot of the story in a chapter book. Illustrations should be bright, engaging, eye-catching, fun, full of detail. My illustrator here likes to add hidden ladybugs on each page to make it more fun. She's also done hearts, frogs, and it's fun. We advertise that at the end of the book. We're like, go back and read it again and find these hidden objects, and kids just love that. So if it's a picture book for young kids, an illustration should keep the child's attention while they are listening to the book. You don't want children rushing to turn the page while there's more to be read. If they're doing that, there's either too many words on the page or your illustrations need to have a little bit more fun to them, more detail maybe. So when you choose an illustrator, make sure that it's someone you can communicate well with and who can capture your vision and bring your story to life. You want someone who can take constructive criticism to make needed changes, but you also need to be open-minded to their ideas. You don't want to be too critical to squash their creativity. You're hiring them for a reason. They're a creative person. Maybe they have an idea for an illustration in your book that will take it to the next level. So be ready and open-minded to listen to their suggestions as well. And again, make sure you're paying for a good size sample before you commit to an entire book. These are very, very important and worth the money. So step 3, marketing your book. And again, there's a reason this step is listed before your book is finished. You should create hype about your book before, during, and after your launch. Don't wait until your book is published to tell anybody about it. Illustrations can take a while. So while your book is being illustrated, you'll have some time to market your book. You can set up a website, start an author social media account, and that your website can help you gather emails of fans who can't wait to not only buy your book, but review it and share it with their audience when it launches. And this is also a time you can run a Kickstarter campaign to pre-sell copies of your book if you need to raise funds to pay for producing your book. And we'll talk more about Kickstarter later, so if you don't know what that means, that's totally fine. If all of this seems like a lot, again, don't worry. We will talk about how you can learn what all of these things are and how to do them. Step 4 is the creating stage, the designing and formatting of your book for publishing. So this is the exciting part where your book takes shape. Here the words are designed on each page, the title is designed on the cover, and print-ready files are created. All of your hard work is finally coming together. So it's like building a house. The foundation, the framing, the electrical and plumbing all need to be put in before you can put in the walls and the floors. But it's not until the walls and the floors are put in that it starts to look like a home. This is where your book starts to look like a book, and it's super exciting. And I have a shameless plug here. I'm a graphic designer, and I've designed and formatted over 200 picture books and covers for other authors. So if you're ever interested in that, let me know. It's one of my favorite things to do. I designed and formatted several books for Jessica, and it was a pleasure to help guide her through the designing process for her series of books. And she just contacted me. We're going to be working on her 4th book here soon. So Jupiter says, yes, please. You can go, I'll go back to this slide. My email is right here. You can email me at info@mistybuckauthor.com. Okay. Step 5 is launching your book and setting it up for success. Here you'll choose which platforms you want to use to sell your book and upload them there. Make sure to pick relevant categories and keywords to help your book be seen. And you'll set a launch date and market some more so you can get people ready and willing to leave reviews when it goes live. And then once it's live, you can also look for more opportunities to sell your book in person, at farmers markets and vendor events, at schools. Children's book authors have a huge advantage because we can get into schools and reach thousands of kids at once. And it is so much fun. The energy that those kids have and bring, and the excitement that they show for reading, it makes it all worth it. It is one of my very favorite things to do. Okay, so now we've talked about what we shouldn't do. We've talked about what we should do, but how do we do it? Because obviously what I've taught you today is a great start. I hope the information is helpful, but there's more to it. I mentioned earlier that I would tell you a way you could work with me more closely to publish a picture book that sells while avoiding costly mistakes. I have an important question for you. What would it mean to you to have someone walk you through these steps, finally getting your book published the right way? Type helpful in the chat if that's something you may be interested in. And I know we covered a lot, but there's a lot we couldn't cover. And sometimes it helps to have someone guide you along the way. We have lots of helpfuls coming in. Wonderful. Now that you've seen the full process, and hopefully you're feeling excited about what's possible, you might be wondering, how do I actually do this without feeling overwhelmed and stuck? And that's where the Get It Published program comes in. It's a full-length publishing course that covers it all in depth, from editing to illustrating to creating and publishing to marketing your children's book. All of the steps that we just talked about. What if you could have your book published in 90 days from now and avoid the overwhelming costly mistakes and the scams that happen to many first-time authors? More mistakes than I could cover here. With a total of 35 self and traditionally published books, I've made a lot of mistakes. I've had highly successful books from the get-go. I've had books that started out not great, and I've had to build momentum with them. And I've had books that have totally flopped. We'll be honest with you. But I've learned from every one of them. And I also have a business degree. And I'm in a unique position to teach you how to turn your books into a business if that's what you choose to do. It's up to you. You can publish one or many books, but I believe joining this course is the best way for you to get it done quickly, professionally, and have fun doing it, because when you remove the stress, it is so much more fun. The Get It Published program is my signature course that walks you through every step of the publishing process, from idea to professional, polished, print-ready book, and then beyond to get sales. You'll get my templates, time-saving shortcuts, insider tips, and even personal support from me. I created this exact program. I created the program that I wished I had when I was getting started. Holly said, while completing the Get It Published program, I learned about many aspects of the publishing process that I hadn't considered. I highly recommend learning how to publish your masterpiece from someone who has researched the topic completely and has conquered publishing herself. So imagine if there was a way to bypass all of the misinformation and the mistakes that cost you time and money. Imagine your book having a positive impact on a child who reads it. Imagine having a stream of passive revenue from book sales. Imagine being seen as an expert in your field because of the success of the book you wrote. How does that make you feel? Does that make you feel excited, overwhelmed, nervous, something in between? Let me know if you have any questions in the chat or through email. But this process can be very exciting. And it can be a reality for you, not just a dream. So you have two options. You can continue to spend time and energy trying to figure it out on your own, or maybe you end up giving up and never realize this dream. Or you can finally commit to creating and publishing your profitable book using my proven system. So stop waiting. I hope you start working on your children's book today, because chances are you've been putting it off long enough. I want to hear in the chat how long you have had an idea to write and publish a children's book. How long have you been waiting to realize this dream? We've got years, 2 years, 10 years. Yes. Many people, you know, time gets away from them. It's something, a goal on the back of their minds, and they don't know how to move forward, so they don't ever move forward with it. Inside the Get It Published program, Colette, I see you raise your hand, and that's awesome. If you have a question, can you just put it in the chat? I have everybody muted right now, so. Inside the Get It Published program, you'll get everything you need to create and self-publish a successful children's book in as little as 90 days. And that's just an estimated time frame, because it's a go at your own pace course. It's on demand. You can do it faster if you'd like, or you can take more time if you wish or if you need. The program walks you through with video tutorials, step by step, bit by bit, and it's divided into bite-sized pieces so you can go at your own pace, skip things you already know, go back to the parts where you need a refresher. Say that you're working on your 2nd or your 10th book and you're like, I don't really remember how to do that part. You just go back and rewatch that part because it is clearly labeled. And I included everything in this course that I know and did to get where I am today. Inside the Get It Published program, you'll get everything you need to create and self-publish a successful children's book. It has step-by-step lessons to publish a professional quality children's book, templates, checklists, insider resources, personal feedback and support from me, and lifetime access, plus all future updates are included. Changes happen in the publishing world, and when that happens, I go and update the course. So you get all of that in the future, all of the updates. One of my clients, Heather, gave me this beautiful testimonial, and when I asked her for a picture to use with the testimonial, she was so excited. She said, yes, of course, I would have been lost without you, and I'll tell anyone on the planet that needs to hear that. And helping authors realize this dream and seeing their excitement from finishing their book and selling their book brings me so much joy. So here's how the program works. It's an online, go at your own pace. So again, you can complete it in your time frame. And if you're not ready to start, it will be waiting for you when you are ready to start. It's a full-length course. It's set up into 5 modules. And to the left, you can see each module opens up to see the lessons inside. Each lesson has videos and templates to walk you through the entire process. And each module corresponds with the 5 steps of publishing a picture book. Let me know in the chat what you think you need help with most. So we've got editing, illustrations, marketing, formatting, publishing. Which of these steps are you going to need most? You can type all 5 if you need help with it all. Heidi says all of it. And again, you can take the course in order if you're new and you need help with it all, or you can click on the individual modules to take you to the lessons inside. Again, they're clearly labeled so you can skip to where you currently need help or go back and rewatch anything that you're struggling with. Several of you said all of it. Editing, marketing, illustrations and editing, editing and marketing. We've already gone over the 5 steps that correspond with the 5 modules, but you can see that each module goes into depth, into things we've talked about and so much more. And there's a comment section at the bottom of the lessons where students can ask questions and see the responses to others' questions. I get an email sent to me directly every time a comment or question is posted, so I can go in and answer that question, and then you can see responses if other people might have had the same question as you. So let's talk about everything that's included. I think I've already talked. It's on demand, 5 modules. It teaches you how to create, actually polish, editing, find an illustrator, where to find an illustrator, how to approach them, what to talk about, what the things you need to make sure that you are securing those copyrights and rights to publish your book, teaching you how to market and publish a children's book that your target market is looking for, even if you know nothing about publishing. And it includes my step-by-step guides and how-tos. So this section with the 5 modules and the video lessons is worth almost $3,000. But that is not what I'm charging. It also includes my winning website guide, giving you free access to my most recommended all-in-one website, email, and lead magnet host. So lots of authors will have a separate host for their email. They'll have a separate host for their lead magnet. They'll have a separate host for their website. This recommendation I have is all-in-one. They have a very impressive free option. And so you can get your website up running fast and free and help you start gaining subscribers who can't wait to buy your book and review it. It includes web page templates and a lead magnet template too to make it super easy and fast. And this bonus is huge. So even though it's an online course, you're not left to go at it alone. When you join the program, you get access to the Get It Written, Published and Selling Facebook group. It's a private Facebook group where you belong to a tribe of authors in the same spot as you that are willing to give and get support. And it's a great place to network and gain author friends. Some of my author friends are my greatest friends. I love being part of this community. Say you need to brainstorm an idea. Maybe you need to swap a manuscript, get a critique partner with another children's book author. Maybe you need recommendations for an illustrator, or maybe you need help deciding how to make your book description better. Pop it into the Facebook group to get help from authors who are actively working on publishing their books too, and I will be there offering my expert and personal advice and support. So it's a great place to go if you're getting stuck, if you need a little extra help, and to also know that you're not doing this alone. And because I want you to publish, I want you to finish your book, I want you to publish it, I host live coaching calls with question and answer sections to help guide you through the process. You'll have a direct line to me where we'll meet online and get your questions answered as you go. And you'll be invited to join these group coaching calls when they happen. It also includes my Killing It with Kickstarter. It's a bonus webinar for those who need a way to fund their book project, generate pre-sales, and increase their following. The webinar includes an interview with 2 authors who raised over $9,000 in their first 2 hours on their Kickstarter. They are a powerhouse when it comes to raising money on Kickstarter, and the webinar is full of ideas to not only help you get funded with Kickstarter, but blow past your funding goals and earn way more money. It's just a phenomenal wealth of information. It also includes my behind the scenes secret to success guide. This is a step-by-step interactive guide of everything I did to become a best-selling author, sell over 100,000 copies in my first 3.5 years, and gain over 2,000 5-star reviews. And it's located in an easy to find place with hyperlinks and resource material. And as a bonus, I do an Amazon ads training to get your book not only seen, but sold. Amazon's the largest retailer in the world. And Amazon ads are the only reason my books have sold well online. So this, to me, is a must-have training. The training includes timestamp markers so you can easily jump to where you need help or rewatch parts that you need to review. And the program includes cheat sheets and checklists to keep you on track, resource guide, lists and links to must-have resources, plus my best tips and money and time-saving tricks. Again, I've made a lot of mistakes on my journey. I want to teach you how to avoid those so you don't have to do the same. If you add up everything that's in the Get It Published program and the bonuses, it has a total value of over $6,000. If I was going to work with you one-on-one, which I actually don't have much time to do anymore, and walk you through the entire process, it would cost thousands of dollars and be several months of coaching if I was going to walk you through every single step. Lots of authors hire me for specific needs, but if you were going to do it from beginning to end, it's can take a lot of time because we have to fit in the time in my schedule. If you were going to hire a vanity publisher and publish your book for you, it can cost anywhere from $4,000 to $25,000 is what I've seen for one book. In the Get It Published program, you'll learn how to do everything yourself. Plus, you'll be able to do it better because it's your book, it's your vision. So who better to see it through than you? If you hire a vanity publisher, they've been paid up front. They don't really care what the end result of your book is going to look like. You do. You are somebody who truly cares about your story and its meaning. Plus, you get to keep all the rights. And you'll learn exactly how to do it yourself so you can repeat the process and publish again and again without having to pay somebody to do it again and again. With the Get It Published program, you'll get lifetime access to the course, access to me inside the Facebook community, and it's far from a 4-figure investment. I show you easy, streamlined strategies to polishing your manuscript, creating your book, and launching it for success at a fraction of the cost. The Get It Published program is worth a 4-figure investment, but it won't cost that. The price is normally $14.97. It goes on sale for $10.97, but if you purchase within the next 24 hours, you can get started today for only $149. So that's 6 monthly payments of $149, or you can save some money and pay in full today for $797. And that's $300 off the sale price. So let me add a link into the chat. If you're watching on my website, the link is below the video. If you still have questions, stick around for the question and answer section. Or again, you can email me or put them in the chat. So $149 is all it takes to get immediate access to the knowledge and support you need to become a best-selling author in just 90 days and start earning profits from your passion. But it won't be available for long. I'm offering the special enrollment of $797 for the next 24 hours. After that, the price will go up and then enrollment is going to close. Vesper asked, will we also receive an email with the information for sign up? Like once you've signed up, are you asking if you'll get an email? Here, let me put the link in again to the chat. Okay. Then I have another bonus for you. When you join today, when you join the Get It Published program by the end of this webinar, so I'd say we have about 15, 20 more minutes left. You'll also gain access to my Get It Written workshop for free. So you'll be getting 2 courses for the price of 1. But if you, but you'll have to hurry to take advantage of this bonus offer. It's during the webinar. Vesper says to sign up if I don't hear with link. Let's see. Okay. The Get It Published workshop is a step-by-step training that will help you write or edit a children's book the professionals would be proud of. Whether you're starting from scratch or shaping a rough draft, you'll walk away with clarity, confidence, plus expert tips to make it truly shine. The Get It Written workshop takes you from idea to finished manuscript in as little as 3 days. So it's the perfect companion to the Get It Published program that takes you from finished manuscript to publishing your book and beyond, helping you craft a story kids will love and you'll be proud to publish. Jupiter's asking if it comes with actual publishing and help. Yes. So that's what the Facebook group is for. I'm there to answer questions. We will have group coaching calls where you will get a very personalized attention, get your questions answered, help, get you unstuck. So yeah, it does come with publishing and help to answer your questions. So hopefully that helps. Will you receive editors, cover designers? Yes. So inside the program, it includes my list of tried and true editors. It includes their prices. It includes their timeline. It includes what they specialize in. It includes testimonials. It's all in one place so that you can easily find an editor that you can feel confident hiring, because you don't want to hire a bad editor. They are out there, so I just want to warn you about that. I do also recommend designers, so I think that's what you meant by cover design. This does not include illustrations. It includes helping you find an illustrator, what to say to them, how to get the conversation started, the contracts that you're going to need. It talks about what contracts you're going to need to get them to either assign you the copyrights or to do a work for hire so that you own the copyrights from their work. So yes, it includes ways for you to go hire an illustrator. And then Celeste says, yes, cover design. Yes, I recommend people that can do that for you. I also, actually, there is a section on cover design that talks about what makes a good cover. So that you can either do it yourself or that you know what you're looking for when you hire a designer. It helps you know what are the standards of children's book covers, what they need to get them to pop, to get them to notice in thumbnail size online and in person. The Get It Written workshop, let me go back to the training. The Get It Written workshop will help you write a children's book that meets industry standards and captures young readers' hearts. So inside this focus training, you'll learn my signature Tiger technique, which is a proven storytelling framework that helps you write a book kids want to read again and again. This can help you write your first book or your next book. It also includes a bonus idea generator to help get your creative juices flowing. And since you'll have lifetime access to both of these courses, it won't be like paying a publisher to help you publish one book. With these two courses, there's no limit to the number of books you can write and publish. So remember when I said at the beginning that many authors make the mistake of believing that writing a children's book is easy, anyone can do it? But then I said with a little bit of learning and training and know-how, it can be easy and fun. The Get It Written workshop was created to give you that training and that know-how. Jennifer is a freelance editor that took the Get It Written workshop, and she said that it's a clear back to basics how-to guide for aspiring authors. It's got everything you need to know about writing picture books in bite-sized and actionable chunks. I highly recommend it. So if you have any questions about the program or about publishing, please put them in the chat, or if you'd like to privately email them to me, that is fine too. Again, my email is info@mistyblackauthor.com. And we're going to take a minute to go over some frequently asked questions, questions that you may be having too. Kalima has a good question. Kalima, can you email me? info@mistyblackauthor.com. I'll be able to answer your question. Can I use this even if I don't have any tech skills? All you need is a computer or a tablet to watch the easy to follow videos. There are step-by-step guides for anyone who is tech challenged. In fact, if you are tech challenged, this is the easiest way to get published because it walks you through how to do everything. So if you're watching this, you have enough tech knowledge to take the course. Another question, what if I can't afford it because my budget is so tight? So I spent several years and far more than the cost of this course learning everything I'll teach you. I wasted far more than the cost of this course on mistakes I made along the way. And I get it, it can seem scary, but you can do this and you deserve an investment in yourself. I want everyone to be able to benefit from the Get It Published program, and that's why I've lowered the price to only $7.97 if you sign up today. Or you can get started for $149. How long do I have access? So I've covered this, but just to reiterate, you have lifetime access to the course. It's online and ready to help you when you're ready, when you need it. So if you have more questions about that, you can see the terms of service for more details on my website. And you don't need to start right away. When you join, you'll have lifetime access to the program and any future updates I make. You can go at your own pace. You can come back to lessons anytime and use the tools and templates whenever you are ready. Does this course cover how to sell and market my book? So the marketing module and the publishing and launching videos give you in-depth tutorials on how to set up your book for selling success. And the bonuses offered in this course help you continue marketing your book after publication too. There's a certain strategy you need to keep that momentum going, to keep those sales coming in. Another question, doesn't it take months or years to publish a book? I don't have time to do that. So it can take that long if you don't get started or if you don't know what you're doing. The Get It Published program is created for people like you who have limited time by providing bite-sized bits of information and how-tos that are easy to implement, helping you get your story published in a matter of weeks and not years. Can it really be done in 12 weeks? Yes, it can be done even faster because in 2022, I published 10 books. That averages 5.2 weeks per book. It is also okay if it takes you longer. It can take longer. A lot of it actually depends on your illustrator, but your part can actually be done in 12 weeks or less. But it can take more time if you need. You are not in a rush. Megan said, I am excited to be part of this course. I had the privilege of working with Misty Black with the children's book we were both working on last year. She was such a joy to work with. She was so kind, knowledgeable, and on top of everything throughout the entire process. Okay, another question. What if I don't have any training or experience in publishing? Will I still be able to publish a professional book? Once you learn and implement the strategies in the Get It Published program, you'll have a published book the professionals would be proud of. And again, no publishing experience is required. Is there a refund policy? Yes, there's a 14-day money-back guarantee. If you're not satisfied, if you don't think it truly is helping you publish a high-quality book, email me with your completed homework for modules 1 and 2 within 14 days, and I'll issue you a full refund. Another question. What if I haven't written my book yet? You don't need to have a finished book to get started. You don't even need to have it written at all, because if you're joining now, you will get the Get It Written workshop as well. And that will help you avoid common writing mistakes. It will help you structure your story the right way from the start. And you get access to that for free if you join during this webinar. That will help you write your book faster, better, and with more confidence. What if, let's see. You got that one twice, sorry. Okay, do I need to be on social media to sell my book? There are people that are scared of social media. It takes a lot of time. My answer is no. You don't need to have a huge following. You don't need to have a following at all. If social media is not your thing, I walk you through other ways to get your book seen and sold. You don't have to do all the things to be successful. That would be too overwhelming. There's no way one person could do all of the things. So I suggest you pick the avenues you're good at and that you enjoy. That'll help you stick with it. That will take you a lot further than forcing yourself to do something that you hate. And then finally, do I need to start a publishing company to self-publish my book? So if the thought of starting a publishing company scares you, you absolutely do not need to start a publishing company. It's not required at all. You can still self-publish a professional and successful book. You don't need to make it too complicated if that is something that is holding you back. So to get started, click the link in the chat. Let me put it back, or if you're watching from my website, the link is below the video. You have just a few more minutes to grab the Get It Written workshop for free, so you don't want to miss that. Once you purchase the course, check your email for your info to get started as soon as you're ready. I'm going to take a minute to talk about who this course is right for. If you have questions about publishing or about the course, about the program, start putting them in the chat, and I'm going to get to those in a bit. So this course is for elementary teachers, elementary librarians. You know how important reading is for young minds. So do you ever struggle to find a book on specific topics to read to your students? Or have you ever read a book to your class and thought that could have been so much better? So here's another myth or mistake, is thinking that your story has already been written so you don't need to write it. If you think you can do it better, do it. Even if a book on a similar topic has already been published. I'm not saying copy somebody's book, but if you have an idea for a book, an original idea from you, and a similar topic has already been covered, that's okay. Your story needs to be told by you. It will resonate with your audience in a way a different book can't. So don't be afraid to do it your way. If you can't find a book you're looking for on the shelf, it's time for you to write and publish that book yourself. And with the Get It Published program, you'll have everything you need to get that important story published so you can begin sharing it with not only your own students, but with students everywhere around the world. This is also for parents and grandparents of young children. So as parents, do you ever make up bedtime stories for your children when you're tucking them into bed? And would you love to see those stories come to life? Do you ever dream of sharing your book with children all over the world? So with the Get It Published program, you'll have everything you need to get that bedtime story illustrated, created, and published. And just imagine for a minute, kids everywhere being tucked into bed with a story that you wrote. Now is the time to publish that story. And if you're publishing a story that you read to your children when they were young, that makes such a great gift. If you have a birthday or a holiday coming up, it would be such a great gift to have that done for them. This course is for aspiring children's book authors. Starting to lose my voice. Do you dream of seeing your name on the cover of a picture book as an author? Imagine walking into a library or a bookstore and seeing a copy of your book, or seeing a photo of your book being shared on social media of a kid enjoying your story. And then how exciting would it be to receive wonderful reviews about a book that you published? I'll never forget the day my daughter came home from school and she had one of my books checked out from her school library. I didn't even know that they had copies of my books, but it was so awesome. And she handed it to me. She was just beaming. And I have hundreds of these books at my house. I have printed copies of every one of my books, and she checks out a book and brings it home. And she was just so excited to show it to me. And that was such a fun moment for me. And then who is this for? Anyone with an idea for children's book who wants to get it published, or current authors who need help getting their books seen and sold. So let me help you do that. Angela, she was actually a published author before she joined the program. She had several books published. And she said this: Misty Black is a phenomenal wealth of information. Whether you're starting on your book journey process or like me a little further along, you will undoubtedly learn more than you thought you would. Let's face it, writing, publishing, and marketing your book is quite a journey. Joining this course has been invaluable. So you'll see that this course has something in it for everyone, even if you already have published one or more books. So let's go over what the course includes a little bit more in detail, because I know I've seen some questions come through. Does it cover this? Does it cover this? So each of these sections might cover something that you're wondering about. I've said many times it's online. It's go at your own pace. Module 1 is the editing and polishing your manuscript. So in this section, you'll learn the importance of beta readers, critique partners, and professional editors, and where to find them. You'll also learn how to be a good critique partner, how to incorporate feedback, the different types and stages of professional editing, what to expect from a good editor, and where to find one. Again, it includes my tried and true list of editors, their prices, their contact information, and testimonials, and also what they specialize in, because this can save you so much time and money. You don't want to hire a bad editor. Heidi asked if I offer a money-back guarantee, and yes, I do. A 14-day money-back guarantee. And then I'll go over a little bit more on the details of that again. Module 2, illustrating your book. So don't start the illustrations until you watch this section. I know I covered several costly mistakes. If you do your illustrations too soon, there are many more that I couldn't cover here. You'll learn how to prep your book for illustrations, how to find and hire the right illustrator to capture your vision and bring your story to life, how to start the conversation, what questions to ask, what your contract needs to say, what it needs to look like, how to evaluate illustrations, and give feedback for best results. And here is where you get help choosing the size of your book and understanding the publishing platform options. The reason we go over that in this section is because you need to know the size of your book so your illustrator draws the illustrations in the correct size, including margins and bleeds, and we go into that a lot. We go over how you can make sure the illustrator knows how much room to leave for text, how to acquire the rights to your illustrations, and how to know if your illustrator is using clip art or AI as opposed to original content, so you can avoid that. And a lot of my students are worried about paying for an illustrator. It can be expensive, but there are ways around that. And one of those would be running a Kickstarter to generate pre-sales to help pay for the production of the book. So inside the program, there's a bonus lesson on running a Kickstarter to help you out if you decide to go that route. Another way, and what I chose to do, was shop around. You don't want to skimp on the quality of your illustrations, but you can shop around and find either a newish illustrator who's looking to gain experience and exposure. So you would still, of course, pay them for their time. So never assume somebody will illustrate for free to gain exposure. That's not what I'm suggesting. But if they're new and this is their first book, they might charge a lot less. And if you know the information taught in the Get It Published program, you'll be able to coach them through these steps to make sure they're doing it right. And nothing is worse than getting your illustrations back and they're the wrong size, the wrong color format, too low of resolution, or they didn't leave room for text. A year ago, I started designing and formatting a book for a guy, and he gave me all of his illustrations. They were all finished. He gave me the manuscript. I was dividing it into pages, and I brought in the illustrations, and they were the wrong size. And they could not be fixed because it was way too low of resolution. If we made it the right size, then the resolution would have been way too grainy and would not have been print quality. So his illustrator had to go back and redraw every single one of those illustrations. And he ended up joining the program after that happened so he could avoid future mistakes. And I don't know if his illustrator charged him again to redraw all of those illustrations. She may not have, I'm not sure. But what I do know is it took an entire year. He didn't come back to me with those finalized illustrations until a year later. So it costs a lot of time and money to make these mistakes. So make sure that you do not miss this section. Module 3 is marketing. How many of you are scared of marketing? Let's see it in the chat. Lots of people, when I ask them, the marketing just scares a lot of people. How do you get your book seen among millions of children's books on the market? So this section will explain exactly what you can do while your book is being illustrated to create hype and gain traction. And it includes how to market your book before it's even finished, how to set up a website to gain subscribers, how to use social media in your favor, how to involve influencers in media, and how to gather a launch team and how to use your launch team to prep fans who can't wait to buy your book and review your book and share it with their audience. That's how you get your book seen. It includes a marketing bonus, my Winning Website Guide. Again, this gives you free access and templates to my favorite website and email hosting platform to get your website up and running in no time. It will start gaining you subscribers and leads, and they have a really great free tier. I highly recommend a website. It's a relatively free employee that's working for you 24/7 to show your book off, to tell about it, to gain subscribers. And yeah, it's a great resource. So you want to get that up and running quickly. Module 4 is designing your book. How do you get your book to stand out? So in this section, you'll learn to get your book designed and formatted to be published. Again, this is the fun part where all your hard work comes together and it starts to look like an actual book. And I'm going to throw a lot of words at you. You may not know what any of these mean. I don't want to overwhelm you. I just want to make sure you know what this includes, and it will teach you exactly what these things are and how to do them. You'll learn about LCCNs, barcodes, copyrights, fonts, font licensing, proofreading, the different platform printing options and platforms, where to find the best children's book designers, what goes into the front and back of your book, where you can get your book printed if you decide to do a bulk order print run, the different formats available, how to make sure your cover pops for greater visibility and interest. We talk about cover a lot. A cover is super important, and people do judge a book by its cover. You want to make sure your cover is fantastic. So if all this seems overwhelming, again, don't worry. I teach you what these mean. I walk you through every step in the course. And then finally, Module 5, Publishing and Launching for Success. It's launch time, and in this section, you'll learn how to convert your book from being seen to being sold. Here you'll learn how and where to upload your book, how to make the most of your launch and help your book gain momentum to get noticed, to gain those reviews, and to sell. We'll discuss the timeline or your launch schedule for publishing your book and setting it up for pre-sale if that's what you choose to do. And the section includes research, how to research those keywords and categories, where to find them, how to analyze them so you know that they're going to bring in the most traction for your book, how to write a best-selling book description, because online you have about 7 seconds. Once somebody clicks on your page, they don't stay very long. You've got to capture their attention right away. So you want to write that best-selling book description that's going to not only want them to buy the book, but want them to pay attention and keep reading the description. You'll also learn how to use influencers and optimize your sales page using A+ pages. Again, if you don't know what that means, don't worry. I help you with everything. And the bonuses, tons of bonuses. The private Facebook group where you can belong to the tribe of authors who are in the same boat as you, and you can give and get support, and I will be there answering your questions and helping you on this journey as well. And don't forget about the group coaching calls where we will meet online. You will get personal attention, personal questions, and get your questions answered in real time. You'll also get a list and links to my favorite resources, cheat sheets, software, publishing associations and groups, and cost and time-saving tips and tricks that are worth far more than the cost of this program. There's also the bonus Amazon ads section, one of the biggest contributors to my success, so you don't want to miss that. And we will cover how you can receive best-selling status so you can become a best-selling author. And we talk about book awards. So when I first started out, I wasn't too concerned about book awards. I didn't know a lot about them. So it wasn't until a couple years in that I started to do book awards. And book awards are the only reason my books were picked up by foreign publishers. So every one of my books that got a foreign deal had a book award. And I was told that that's how they found me and why they were interested. So learning about book awards, in my opinion, is a must. So to get started, click the link in the chat. I'm going to put it back in because we've had a lot of questions come through. I don't want it to get lost. So click the link in the chat or the yellow button below the video if you're watching online on my website. Purchasing the course gets you immediate access to the course and all the bonuses. Just give me, if you purchase, just give me a few minutes to finish up this training, and then I will go add you to all of the resources and send out the emails. So then check your email for your info to get started right away. Or if you're not quite ready yet, if you're not quite ready to get started, I'll be waiting for you, and it will be waiting for you as soon as you're ready to get your book published. And then you have a few more minutes to take advantage of getting the Get It Written workshop for free. It took me years of research to gather the material that I've included in this workshop, and you can get it free today. It's the perfect way to get the training and the know-how you need to make your writing easier, more enjoyable, to make your story exciting and fun and professional, because you'll learn the industry standards for children's book and what children's books are expected to have. So imagine where you could be 2 to 3 months from now. You could have your book in hand. You can have reviews from your fans and the ability to influence children for good. So Gal is an author who recently finished the program. And before she found me, she said her author journey included countless questions and an overwhelming amount of scattered and conflicting information. She said she made many mistakes, she wasted money, she struggled to piece together the right steps. But once she joined the program, she said it far exceeded her expectations. She told me that she especially liked the program, that it's exceptionally organized with practical checkpoints and assignments to keep you on track, and it made it possible for her to publish with confidence. And she's currently working on her 2nd and 3rd books right now. Inside the Get It Published program, you'll get everything you need to edit, create, and self-publish your children's book fast. So click on the link in the chat or the button below to get started. If you're still watching this, you owe it to yourself and your book to take the next step and join us inside the Get It Published program. Something I've said has resonated with you, otherwise you wouldn't still be watching. I get it, because investing in yourself can be scary. But let me tell you, there is a wisdom in spending money, which is a renewable resource, to save time, which is a non-renewable resource. I'm still learning this lesson, and it is costing me. It is a hard lesson to learn. But you can save a ton of time and headache and avoid mistakes and frustrations by starting off on the right foot from the beginning, avoiding costly and time-consuming mistakes and getting started right away. The sooner you get started, the sooner you can get your book into the hands of children and start making a difference. And if the Get It Published program truly does not help you polish and publish your book, simply email me with your completed homework for modules 1 and 2 within 14 days, and I'll issue you a full refund. After those 14 days, you're in it for the long haul with me, and I hope and believe you'll come to realize that that's a wonderful thing. Imagine where you could be 2 to 3 months from now. You're ready to finally get your book idea out of your head and into the world. You're ready to stop stalling. You're ready to stop getting stuck. You're ready to start taking action using a proven method that will help you go further, faster. You're ready to make a difference in the lives of children. Remember what we talked about at the beginning, what success looks like for you. You are ready to see that success happen. You're ready for a way to publish with less stress, less overwhelm, more joy, and more profits. This process can be super enjoyable when you have clear direction and less stress, and I absolutely love it. It is the best to find a creative outlet that can make you some money. I am so grateful for this journey that I've been on. You're ready for the Get It Published program. If you're still here, I know you're interested. So take that leap of faith, believe in yourself. You can do this, and I will be there to help. So click on the link below or in the chat, and I'll see you in the course. I hope you take advantage of this opportunity and join soon so you can get those extra bonuses. Again, I want to thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your valuable time with me, and I'll see you in the course. If I haven't answered your question here, I apologize. Feel free to email me by replying to any of my emails I sent you, or email me at info@mistyblackauthor.com. And thank you so much for being here.